Hey guys, Arik is here, your Russian coach. Welcome to the Advanced Russian School for the Thinking Students, where we take real Russian articles, thought-provoking, high-level Russian, and we analyze them, and through that you will be learning advanced Russian, but you will also be learning lots of interesting things for life in general. For example, this article, just look at the screen, is called Церковный Раскол XVII Века. So let's remember what was Раскол. Раскол was split. And Церковный comes from Церковь, which is a church. So a church split of the 17th century. Remember, we started it the last time. And then we said, they're saying Патриарх Никон и протопоп Авакум, как сложилась их судьба. So, and we were saying that Patriarch и Protopop, that's just certain church titles, titles of priesthood, the patriarchs and the archpriest. So the patriarch Nikon and the archpriest Avvakum, как сложилось, how was built. So сложиться, it means like to build itself or to be compiled. And судьба was destiny. So, but basically it just means what happened to them or how did their destiny work. So сложилось you might translate here as work, but in general сложилось means compiled itself, okay, because сложить means to compile. And last time, so please open your printed materials if you have. If you don't, then you have the link below this video. You can open this article on your screen, or you can just stop this video for a moment, and just print it out. It's going to be much easier for you. This way you will be able to underline things and to write the meanings of the words and stuff like that. And now at the beginning of the lesson, I'm going to read the first paragraph on which we worked the last time. And I'm going to translate just to direct the train of thought. So just listen and check yourself. Церковный раскол XVII века стал одним из самых значительных и сложных событий в истории Русской Православной Церкви. Он разделил православных христиан на сторонников и противников реформы патриарха Никона. Последних объявляли еретиками, преследовали и казнили. Разделение не удалось преодолеть до сих пор. Мы расскажем о причинах и последствиях трагического раскола. So, if you want more detailed analysis, just go to the previous lesson. But now, I'm just going to translate everything. So, the church split of the 17th century became one of the most prominent and complicated events in the history of Russian Orthodox Church. It split Orthodox Christians into proponents and opponents of the reform of Patriarch Nikon. The latter were announced heretics, but actually the more correct that would be they announced the latter as heretics. They chased them and executed. The split, it wasn't possible to overcome up until now. Sorry for the bad English. We will tell about the reasons and the consequences of the tragic split. So that's where we stopped the last time. Now we're going to continue slowly, and you will get everything. So, причины церковного раскола в XVII веке. Причины means reasons or causes. So, the causes of the church split in the 17th century. В 1653 году царь Алексей Михайлович присоединил к Руси левобережную Украину. So, присоединил means connected. Therefore, присоединил к Руси means connected to Russia. Rus. Rusi comes from Rus, which is the older name of Russia, of Россия. Левобережную comes from левый берег, something that is located at the level, левый берег. So левый means left. Берег means the bank of the river. Берег might also mean shore when you talk about the sea or the ocean. But also the bank of the river. It's the same word in Russian. The same word. So левобережную means of the left bank. And of the left bank of what? Left bank of the river Dnieper. Yeah, so левобережная Украина means the Ukrainian territories that were located on the left from the river, on the left of the river Dnieper. So now please see how it all works together. В 1653 году царь Алексей Михайлович присоединил к Руси левобережную Украину. In 1653, the Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich connected to Russia the left bank Ukraine. На этих территориях жили православные христиане, однако они придерживались греческого обряда. So, православные христиане, as we mentioned the last time, is Orthodox Christians. Однако means however. Придерживались in this case means followed. That's the past of придерживаться. In other contexts, придерживаться might mean to hold something in order, for example, not to fall. But in this case, it means to follow. Please look how it works here. So those Christians придерживались греческого обряда. Обряд in this case means rite. R-I-T-E. So, православные христиане, однако они придерживались греческого обряда. However, they followed the Greek rite. So now please see how this whole sentence works together. На этих территориях жили православные христиане, однако они придерживались греческого обряда. On those territories lived Orthodox Christians. However, they followed the Greek rite. Чтобы достичь единения, необходимо было провести реформу, которая свела бы воедино две традиции, не выделяя ни одну из них. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. So, let's go over what they're saying here. So you remember, so this Tsar, he actually added to Russia certain former Ukrainian territories. And there lived Orthodox Christians who followed some other kind of rites than the Russian Orthodox Christians. So they're saying, чтобы достичь единения, so достичь means to reach, R-E-A-C-H, reach. Единение means unity or unification. Единый, yeah, единый means one. So, чтобы достичь единения, in order to reach unity. Необходимо было. So, необходимо means necessary. But you can actually underline необходимо было as one expression. And right above that, it was necessary. Провести реформу. Провести in this context would be to implement. So, провести реформу, to implement a reform. In other contexts, провести would mean to help someone pass through something. For example, провести слепого человека через переход. To pass or to help the blind man pass the pedestrian crossing, переход. But in this case, it means to implement a reform, которая, which, свела бы воедино. So, бы here means would. Yeah, you know, бы means would. Свела воедино, you can underline it with one color, because that's one expression, even though there is another word in between. Свела воедино means to unify or to unite, basically. Свела воедино. две традиции. Две, like both tradition, or the two traditions. Не выделяя ни одну из них. Не выделяя, not emphasizing. Not emphasizing. Не выделяя. So, выделяя comes from выделять, which means to emphasize something, to give something the status of something special. In other contexts, it might also mean other things, but so not emphasizing. Ни одну из них. Neither one of them. So, ни одну из них, neither one of them. But in the proper English, не выделяя ни одну из них would be not emphasizing either of them. So now please see how it all works together. Чтобы достичь единения, необходимо было провести реформу, которая свела бы воедино две традиции, не выделяя ни одну из них. In order to reach unity, it was necessary to conduct a reform, or to implement a reform, which would unite both traditions, not emphasizing either of them. The next. Изменения казались незначительными, но в итоге стали камнем преткновения на пути решения этой задачи. So, изменения means changes. Казались, seemed, or looked. Незначительными means insignificant, because значительный means significant. Не, that's negation, so insignificant. Но в итоге, but в итоге means finally. So you can underline, if you're not familiar, в итоге, finally. Стали means became. Now, камнем преткновения, that's an expression. Expression coming from камень преткновения, which means a stumbling block. Stumbling block. На пути means on the way. Решение, solving. Этой задачи. Задача means task. Task. So by the way, I just want to say to the people who have just joined, now you can see why it is so important to print these things out, because there are lots of new vocabulary. Now I'm going to read it again and translate. If you write each word that you don't know above the original word in Russian, it's going to be much easier and more efficient for you. There are more chances you will remember, because you will expose yourself to that more. So look how it works. Изменения оказались незначительными, но в итоге стали камнем преткновения на пути решения этой задачи. So the changes seemed insignificant, but finally became a stumbling block on the way of solving of that task. So which task? The task of the unification of both traditions, the Russian Orthodox and the Greek Orthodox. So, now I'm going to read this whole paragraph, and you will see how suddenly you comprehend it much better. В 1653 году царь Алексей Михайлович присоединил к Руси левобережную Украину. На этих территориях жили православные христиане, однако они придерживались греческого обряда. Чтобы достичь единения, необходимо было провести реформу, которая свела бы воедино две традиции, не выделяя ни одну из них. Изменения оказались незначительными, но в итоге стали камнем преткновения на пути решения этой задачи. Okay, so we continue. Реформа, разумеется, не была продиктована исключительно политическими мотивами. So please write it down. Разумеется means obviously. Продиктована dictated. Исключительно means only or exclusively. Yeah, исключительно. I'm just reminding you that all in Russian builds adverbs. one of the meanings of "о" at the end of the sentence. That's an adverb. So, исключительный would be like special or exclusive. So, исключительно means exclusively. Политическими мотивами, political motives. So, реформа, разумеется, не была продиктована исключительно политическими мотивами. So, the reform, of course, or obviously, hasn't been or wasn't dictated by exclusively political motives. Она назревала давно. So, назревала means ripened. So, when they say она назревала давно, давно means a long time ago, it conveys the meaning that it, она, relates to реформа, it has been ripening, назревала, has been ripening. Давно means for a long time. So, давно here doesn't mean a long time ago, it means for a long time. It has been ripening for a long time. Из-за многочисленных рукописных копий Священного Писания и предания в них закрались неточности. So let's go over the vocabulary. Многочисленных comes from многочисленный, which is multiple. So here, из-за многочисленных рукописных копий. Из-за means because of. Because of. So because of the multiple. Copies means copy. Copy of something. Рукописных means written by hand. Yeah, because рука comes from рука, which is hand. Писных comes from писать, which is to write. So рукописных means written by hand, like manual. Священного Писания, Holy Scriptures, comes from священное Писание. Священное, священный, so that's all holy. Писание, Scriptures, also comes from писать, which is to write, like holy writings. And предания, that's plural of предания. Предание means tradition or legacy. So, предания in this context would mean different books and documents that are not included in the Bible, that actually convey the church traditions, legacies, rites, and stuff like that. So that's предания. I will just translate that as books of tradition. Okay, now, неточности means like imprecision. Basically, it means mistakes. Неточности. But it comes from не, which is negation. Точность comes from точный, which is precise. So it's like imprecisions. But basically, it just means mistakes. And закрались неточности, like закрались means sneaked in. But you can actually underline it as one expression. Закрались неточности. Because it often comes together. And it means just appeared there certain mistakes. Or some certain mistakes sneaked in. So now please see how it all works together. Из-за многочисленных рукописных копий Священного Писания и предания в них закрались неточности. Because of the multiple manual copies of the holy writings and the writings of tradition, into them sneaked mistakes. And again, sorry for this kind of English, improper English. I am making it improper on purpose for you to understand better the structure of the Russian sentence. Okay, and then they're saying, их и раньше хотели исправить, согласно греческим и древнеславянским текстам. So, их means them, and it relates to неточности, to imprecisions. So when they say их и раньше хотели исправить, it means that, so раньше means earlier, хотели means wanted, of course, obviously. So, but here, I will translate that into English, they wanted, because there is no subject in this sentence. There is no subject. So, it's like that it relates to some kind of impersonal people, some kind of abstract people. So, их и раньше хотели исправить. Исправить means to correct. So, therefore, I will translate that. Just follow me, please. Их и раньше хотели исправить. So, they wanted to correct them even earlier. So, I here acts as even, just to stress what they want to convey. So, they wanted to correct them, meaning the mistakes, even earlier. Согласно греческим и древнеславянским текстам. Согласно means according to. Греческим means Greek, it relates to the text. Древнеславянским means the ancient or the old Slavic. So, because древне comes from древний, which is ancient. So, ancient Slavic texts. Now, please see how it all works together. Just reminding you that they are talking about the mistakes that had sneaked into the holy writings. Их и раньше хотели исправить согласно греческим и древнеславянским текстам. So, they wanted to correct them even earlier, according to the Greek and the ancient Slavic texts. Однако нужный момент никак не наступал. Однако means however. Нужный момент, that's an expression. Please underline it. It means the right moment. And никак не наступал. And in English that would be never arrived. Or had never arrived. So, никак не наступал, you can underline it. And if we divide that into words, so никак не means absolutely not. Никак не. Наступал means arrived or came. But никак не наступал as an expression would mean never came. So, they wanted to correct those mistakes. Однако нужный момент никак не наступал. However, the right moment never came. Присоединение новых территорий казалось идеальным временем. So, присоединение, to remember, присоединить was to connect. Присоединение means like connection. The connection there. In this case, it's like annexation, yeah? But присоединить means to connect. So, the connection of the new territories, казалось, seemed the ideal time. The ideal time for what? Ideal time to correct the mistakes in the holy writings. So now please listen to this whole paragraph. You will see that you comprehend it very well. Реформа, разумеется, не была продиктована исключительно политическими мотивами. Она назревала давно. Из-за многочисленных рукописных копий Священного Писания и предания в них закрались неточности. Их и раньше хотели исправить, согласно греческим и древнеславянским текстам. Однако нужный момент никак не наступал. Присоединение новых территорий казалось идеальным временем. Okay, guys, so let's stop here. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Please like it in order to expose new people to this content. And if you want us to talk about your Russian progress and to get lots of advice regarding the materials and the strategies, how to work on your Russian, do not hesitate to contact me using the contact details below this video. Please write regarding your Russian goals, regarding your current levels, regarding certain strategies that you have been using so far in order to improve your Russian. I'll be more than happy to advise. So thank you very much, guys, and keep smiling. Ciao, ciao.